Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today for an episode of the Cosmopolite Collective. I am Diana.
I am Sophia.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Tamla.
And today we're going to do things a little bit differently. We are going to play a game. So we have all of these random questions. I'm the only one that knows what the questions are. So I will just pull random questions, ask them around. Everyone has to answer. If you need to pass, well, you can't pass. You just have to answer. So I will begin. All right, let me just pull a question. Girls' trips. Love them or hate them?
Who's this one for?
Anyone.
All of us.
Okay.
I have I'm starting to kind of figure, girls' trips, I love them, actually. I think that a girls' trip of 6 is probably better than a girls' trip of 13, if that makes sense.
Agree.
I have to say, I think the only time I've been on a girls' trip that actually remained a girls' trip is if it was just me and one other girl.
Mhm.
Once you start introducing a lot of people, it seems like the boyfriends start showing up and, oh, I forgot to mention. And then all of a sudden it's really a couple's trip, but you're not part of your couple. And then the other part of your couple finds out and then they're mad too.
Ooh.
Yeah, say the same. I think the only other girls trip I've had was maybe one other girl. I did do another one with 2 other girls, but then one found a boy toy abroad, and then he joined us, so it kind of didn't last.
That's the other risk factor.
Yeah.
Is that a
I
risk,
think
though?
girls' trips need to be, well,
It depends.
Well.
It depends who the person is who finds the other guy.
yeah.
And how the guy is too.
Yeah.
Like, it's all, all over her and with her 24/7.
I'm going to say girls' trips, I love them if they're done the right way. So I've gone on plenty of girls' trips and had amazing times. And I think actually kind of about 4 or 5 is like is a really good number if you're doing like a full-on girls' trip. Because I've done a lot of trips where it's just me and another girl. But I would definitely have to agree with Tamala that when it gets to be too many, and actually with Sophia, when the guys start coming in as well, and it's no longer a girls' trip, it just introduces all kinds of things and drama that just don't need to be there. So, okay, let's see. Next question. Favorite places to travel? Tamala.
Well, my favorite places to travel, I'm going to say, and I know this is probably a weird one, the only reason why I'm going to say Mexico is because there's so many different parts of Mexico that you can go to. And it's close to the United States. It's easy. It's cheap. So for Mexico is one of those places that like you can just be like on a Monday, like, you know what, I want to go down to Cabo. And you could actually make it work, even if the financial situation isn't that good or anything like that. Mexico is one of those places where you can always make it work. Back in the day, you used to be able to just walk across the border, pre-COVID, of course.
Mhm.
Now it's a little bit different. And, but I will say one of my favorite places is definitely Mexico. And that's just because of the accessibility. To get there and the different places to go.
I would not have guessed that for you. Sophia.
I'm going to be honest. I'm always chasing food. Anywhere, especially if it's something new. I love to try something new and unique that I've never done before. I love to get a good food recommendation, but I'm literally always chasing food no matter where I go. I'm trying to figure out where we're eating. So anywhere with the snacks.
And I would probably have to say, I love, learning about new cultures. So anywhere that I haven't been is usually, works for me. I love museums and learning about the history and all the nerdy stuff. So that's my favorite.
I'm going to say, I would say Europe, just because I love Europe, just in general. And if I had to pick one place in Europe, one of the favorite places that I traveled was to Croatia, just because it was so beautiful and there's something for everyone there. There's the culture and the beauty and the nature, and just there's nightlife, and it's gorgeous. It just I have so many memories from that trip, and in every city it was like it was very different. I spent more time going to multiple cities there, so I would say Croatia was probably one of my favorite countries to visit. What is your worst travel memory, Erica?
Oh, let's see. My worst travel memory was being in Argentina. I was on it was in university, so I was on a class trip with other students, and we were sitting in a Starbucks, all together, just studying because we were learning Spanish there, and someone stole my purse in Starbucks, and it had my passport and all these other things. So my friend and I, she's a native Spanish speaker, so we went to the police station, put in a report. Obviously, I didn't get it back, but then she helped me get a new passport, and luckily I had a copy of it. A scanned copy, so I had it with me so I can leave the country. But yeah, I think that was one of the scariest, I guess, moments while traveling. And mind you, I was in a group of 10, 15 people, and my bag got stolen without anyone noticing in
Mm.
Starbucks. So yeah, it just made me realize you always have to have your arm around your stuff at all times.
I'll go out of order and I'll share my scariest, or not scariest, my worst travel memory. I was in Dominican Republic, and I am one of those people who, if there is a mosquito or any type of bug nearby, I will attract it. And I get eaten up, and I scar. And I must have forgotten the bug spray. I must have, I don't know what was going on. I got eaten up so badly on this trip that, for one, it was so bad I could barely even sit. My feet had blisters and things all over them. I had bug bites literally all over my ass. I mean, it was bad. And I could hardly sit in the plane seat. I was just itching and miserable the whole time. And then my flight happened to have a layover in Panama City. And so I ended up, no, 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 not Panama City, Mexico City. Panama was a different layover. Mexico City. And by the time I got there, it was so late at night that there weren't going to be more planes until the morning. And
Oh
so there were
no.
these steps in the airport, and people were just kind of camping out on the steps. And I was like, I don't want to go to sleep in this airport. This is one of the largest cities in the world. And so I'm there, miserable, stuck, just itching everywhere. And I couldn't even get to one of the pharmacy shops to try to put stuff on. Well, the problem was that the bug bites on my ass were itching so badly that I had to make a decision. Either I'm going to itch them and just look really crazy, or I'm
Oh
just going to
God.
suffer. And I chose to just itch them. So I'm literally walking up to the customs people or whatever. And I was like, I'm sorry, I can't help it. It was the worst. It was the,
And there's no explaining yourself because somebody's going to whip
yes.
out their camera and
And
record you and upload it to
yes, and I
TikTok.
couldn't stop. I mean, it literally, if I could explain how itchy, I mean, I was having the worst reactions to these bugs ever. And so I ended up finally, I got to a pharmacy and I would put on as much cream and different things as I could, but it was all over my body. And at the time I was living in Arizona. So I got back to Arizona. My legs were so scarred. I had to wear pants in the summer. And for anyone who lives in Phoenix, and it's 115 degrees, I had to wear pants and things in the summer because my legs were so gross. I didn't want to subject other people to even have to look at them. So
Oh
not
wow.
only it was the gift that kept on freaking giving. And so
Oh no.
yeah, I wore pants every day in the hot Arizona desert heat. So that was definitely my worst travel memory. Sophia.
That's
I'm going to say sleeping on the floor in JFK outside security. That was a bad time because Well, because, once you're inside security, like they know you had a plane ticket and you have a destination
Right.
and they kind of trust you a little bit to like remain unconscious. But if you're outside of security, the security guards will literally come around and like tap your foot and wake you up every 15 minutes because they think you might be an unhoused person,
Wow.
which I have to say, not very cash money of you, JFK security,
Oh
because
wow.
you're torturing people who are there trying to be unconscious, but it did not work out for
Oh,
me. It was a bad time.
damn.
Also, if you think about New York streets and who's been
Oh,
walking on them and then
oh,
Yes.
walking through there,
Yeah.
Yes.
gross,
oh,
Yes.
gross, gross.
yes.
Really gross.
No,
Too gross.
that just
Yeah.
made it even worse for me.
Mhm. You're welcome.
Damn.
To be honest, I haven't been half the places that I really want to go. I haven't had too many bad experiences. So I've had bad experiences with people while I'm on vacation. Um, I've had fights with friends. I've had, well, one time, I'm not going to bring up Mazatlan, but I will bring up Cabo.
Yes, I was wondered if you were going to bring this up.
I will bring up Cabo. I had a friend who um, I went on a girls trip. It was a small girls trip, and this friend came with no money, and it just became this very annoying thing. We're no longer friends, by the way, but it became a very annoying thing. I promised myself I would never travel with her again. I'm trying to remember like specific things that happened, but just overall, as a note, just always be careful who you're traveling with, because even if you're really close with them, traveling with somebody is different than being friends with them in your home state or something like that. Even traveling within the United States, just always keep an eye out. Make sure that people come with more than $100 out of the country, because I believe that my friend at this time had about 150 for, I think we were gone 4 or 5 days, something
Yeah.
like that, and
Oh my goodness.
it was really really bad. So obviously, while you're out of the country, you're not going to be like, forget it, deal with it, figure it out. You got to help out, and so everybody rallied. Thank you, Dee, and had to help out this person. But yeah, that was probably one of the things that no matter what, when you're traveling, no matter what my financial situation is or anything like that, I always try to have a backup, or at least somebody or something, some type of backup. You always want to bring backup cash because you never know what can happen. And even for just the trip itself, you need money because sometimes, but that just becomes very annoying. So that was probably my worst. But I'm hoping not to have too many bad experiences when I travel the rest of the world in the next, 5 years or so. So that's my goal.
The funny thing
That's
about
it.
that too was that was actually a birthday trip of yours. And at the time, I had like elite status on the airline that we were traveling on. And so I
Yes.
got upgraded to first class and they let me bring Tam with me. And Tam just left the poor girl in the back of the coach class
I
by,
was not
by
happy.
herself. she
I was
she
not
wasn't
happy.
happy. So
No.
okay, well
Mm-mm. It's like, bye.
that's funny.
Yeah. So,
There's those events in life that sort of make or break a friendship,
Hmm.
and it's like moving, getting
Yeah.
divorced, travel,
Yeah.
spending more than a night out for a cocktail
Yeah.
together will really tell you
Yeah.
about people
Roommates.
and whether or not you're a good
Hmm.
fit.
Roommate.
Oh
yeah, living.
man,
Hmm.
Roommate.
oh, living
Yeah.
together.
Yes.
Yes.
That's crazy, but that's 100% true. If you ever want to know where your friendship is, go out of the country with somebody for an extended vacation, 5+ days.
Yes.
Oh
You'll
Okay.
know.
man.
Next one, exotic foods. What's the most exotic thing you've ever eaten?
The most exotic thing I've ever eaten. The most exotic thing I've ever eaten, I didn't eat outside the country. In Cedar Rapids, Iowa, I had kangaroo.
Oh,
Ooh. How was
Yeah,
it?
some people are like, "Oh, that's really interesting," and other people are like, "Don't tell the Aussies; they're going to be so mad."
Oh no,
It
it's
was,
all the time.
this was many, many years ago, it was obviously I was still a much more of a carnivore at that point in time, but it was a lot like roast beef, but it was like more tender. Like
Hmm.
it's
Oh,
really good.
wow.
It was
It was
really
really
good. It was.
Kangaroo is good.
yeah. I would have to
Yeah.
go.
Never had it.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be my answer. In Australia, we had kangaroo on the Barbie. And it was delicious. And I was vegetarian at the time too. But I'm just like, well, when
It's
you're in
not just me.
Australia, I guess you eat kangaroo. But I think other than that, I mean, shark is pretty normal in the Caribbean. But I've had crickets before.
What was that like?
They were fried, so they didn't taste bad, and they
But
had
could
really
you
good
feel the
chicken.
legs?
Oh,
You
No.
know?
I try not to think about it, but it was like just like super crispy, like, and the dip was delicious. So, and I think that was probably in Argentina. I think it was in Argentina. I had that,
So as
but
long
yeah,
as you've got like a solid aioli, you're good.
yeah, and it's like it was fried, so like it wasn't alive or anything. So
hmm.
yeah,
So it
it's fine.
tasted like a nugget, like a cricket
Yeah,
nugget.
it's kind of like a chip, like with protein.
Tam, did you try those in Mazatlan?
Yes.
Did
Remember, I was just, this is actually 9 years ago. We were in Mazatlan, so exactly this
like
week. So I keep
this
getting the
week?
reminders. And today, actually this morning, I got the reminder on Facebook that I had grasshopper
Grasshopper.
oysters. So it was oysters. I'm a foodie, by the way. I won't eat shark or whale unless I had to, unless I was in Alaska or something, or if it was a native thing, I would eat it. But there's certain animals I don't want to eat because I like them. But I will basically try anything. I used to love chitlins, all of that stuff. I am a big foodie, and so I won't do snake. My mom's had monkey brains. Like, I won't go that far, but I'll try almost anything in the sea. And crickets, Erica, you're right. They are very crunchy. I think that's what they do is they fry them because I think that's
Yeah,
the best way. But once you put them in your mouth, it's like their legs are so small. I know, Sophia, you're asking that
You
question.
can't feel
Like,
it.
you can't
Yeah.
feel it. You can't really feel it. And usually there's some type of a sauce or something. But I do know in Mexico that it is very common. Like, you could get a bag of chips, you can get a bag of crickets, like, or grasshopper or
Oh,
whatever. Like, you can do that. And haven't you ever seen those little lollipops with the bug in it? Usually it's a cricket or
like
something
the
like that.
scorpion.
Yeah, or
no,
scorpion or
ma'am.
something like. Yeah, you can get those in California a lot. They're actually pretty popular. So
Huh. So now that I'm thinking about it, I don't feel like there's a lot of foods that I've eaten that I think maybe some people would think are exotic, but I don't feel like they were exotic. Like things like octopus or things like that that are not to
mhm.
me are not exotic. I would say maybe I think I've tried balls before. Like those fried like
What kind of balls?
I think they're like bull testicles or something.
Yes, that's a thing in the
Yeah,
Midwest.
and then
Actually, in Illinois, they have a whole festival.
yeah, like I think I've tried those like fried at a restaurant or something like that. I can't really remember. I can tell you that it was not a bug. I'm one of those people where if I were like a survivalist that was starving outside and the only thing left for me is to like eat a bug, I would probably like lick a tree or eat bark or like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, but don't know about the bugs situation. So that was
You've never had ants on a log, like real
That's
ants with the
like raisins. Sure.
no
No, no,
actual ants.
no. I don't think I've
With
had
peanut butter.
those. So I'm gonna go with bull testicles. I think I've had those.
it just occurred to me when I was in I had this long layover in Japan and I went to Shibuya district to go get some sushi and when I was ordering there was like a little screen, kind of like you go to a McDonald's now and you can order on a screen. And so I'm ordering on the screen, but everything was in characters. So there might be one picture on the page, but there's a bunch of things listed. So I honestly, I have no idea what I ate. I was just pushing
Mhm.
buttons, and the green button looked like that was probably like go or send or order. So I was like, whatever comes, and I just ate it, and it was all great, but I have no idea what it was.
So
Could have been
yeah,
anything.
we okay.
Yeah.
So we don't
I think we've all kind of done that before, though. If you think about it, there's probably
Yeah.
things that we didn't know we were eating,
yeah.
and we really have. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
I'm
I've
gonna
definitely
amend my answer to say potluck. I have eaten potlucks
Ooh, fair,
and you
fair.
don't know
Yeah.
what is going on in people's
Nope.
kitchens, okay? Like
mhm.
Cat
you
hair.
have no clue how
yeah.
things are prepared. So that could probably be the most exotic thing I've eaten. I'm gonna say that.
That is risk taking
Yes.
behavior.
Always,
Um,
always.
okay. Traveling while single. Any funny stories? Any hookups? I'm gonna start with Erica on this one.
Oh, me? Yay. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I've traveled while single. I'm not like, I do like to party, that's for sure. But no like crazy hookups. Like I get like nervous when I'm outside the country. I think to like go off with a guy by myself, especially in a country where like I don't know the language and like I'm like my ADHD brain might not remember where I stay.
Mm.
So like I just don't want to be in that situation, especially if I'm like, a little tipsy or anything like that. So but yeah, I mean, I think maybe once or twice I have, but like my friend was kind of like with me and like, you know what I mean? Like we like made sure like checked in with each other and stuff like that. So like as long as I feel safe, then, you know, maybe. But otherwise I'm not like one of those people that travel just to do that. I'd rather
Are
be
there
in bed
people
with
that
my
travel
phone.
just to do
So
that? I'm sure, probably.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
I'm gonna
So
go with
but
Sophia next because I'm gonna save me and Tam for last. Sophia.
yeah, Tamla's just says it all.
I have a better question for
Yes.
you. When was I single?
Good point.
That's so true.
I got
She's
nothing. I got
okay.
nothing for you.
Yeah.
No, I never.
Okay.
I I believe in vacation, and when you're on vacation, you vacate your life. And I've,
Oh,
I've mostly
Absolutely.
traveled single, so to be honest, because I have kids. So when I travel, and I'm full time mom, so Sophia, I know you know what that is like. So when
I
I get
do.
out, I probably show out. I have, um, I've had sex on the beach, um, and I just something I want to try. I've done things I want to try. Not all the time,
Wait,
like
just
when I'm
you said
single,
sex on the beach, right?
like
Yeah,
literally,
I
yeah.
okay. I feel like I remember that trip.
I feel like you do too.
Okay.
Um, but most of the time that I have traveled, except for more recently, I have been single. So I am a little bit of a I'm a wild child. So at my nature, I am safe though. Ironically, I've been very safe and gotten, very, very blessed in that way that nothing bad has ever happened to me while I was on vacation or anything like that. But if I meet somebody and we're vibing or whatever while I'm on vacation, then I have fun. I don't plan it. It's not nothing planned, but I will ride the wave.
Yeah. I get these crushes, okay? And then I like fixate on them. That makes me sound like a really crazy, scary
Yeah.
person. Um,
No.
but I'm the type when I've traveled single, which is like most of the time that I travel, um, I end up meeting people. Like I met these Spaniards one time in Jamaica and I got this huge crush on one and we were like emailing back and forth and then like I went back 3 months
Not the
went
email.
went back 3 months later. I actually found his work email, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. But went
Oh
back like
wow.
3 months later. See, now I'm like crazy stalker lady. Um,
I
and
mean,
then I'm trying to think. And so I end up. It's actually like it's not and like a hook up and leave. type thing, it ends
Mm,
up being like something that lingers on for a while. Like we're still in
yeah,
touch, we're still talking on
yeah,
Yeah.
Facebook, and we're like, I have been to the country multiple times sometimes and seen them like in Dominican Republic, and have gone gone back. I dated two guys with the same name in DR. In
Yeah,
DR.
what?
I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah, one of them's actually running for mayor right now, so who knows?
Oh,
Yeah. Look at Tamala's face. Um,
no, I think when you think about like what Erica was talking about and feeling afraid to go off on your own, that I think about this chick who was just overseas and was it Dubai and went off in the car dealer the rental car place and she's like incarcerated, like she's in jail. I think she might just now be getting to come home because you can't just yell and scream at people there.
yeah,
So
I,
like
yeah.
I think about that kind of just a cultural something I didn't understand and not wanting to sort of be I don't want to be separated from the pack and make a mistake.
Right. Well,
And then
there are certain places.
yeah.
Anywhere in the Middle East would be a place that I wouldn't. I got Samantha Jones in me, but I don't know if you guys have seen it. But anywhere in the Middle East, I would not. I would not recommend. And even some places in Asia. However, then there's other places in different parts of Asia that tits up. Like you can just go out, but definitely, Sophia, 100% be aware of your surroundings and different cultural things. If you went to like Greece or Mexico or some places like that where it's a little more free. France, you wouldn't probably have that problem in France. They'd be fine with it.
oh my goodness. Okay, next question. Learning the culture and language. How much should you know when traveling internationally? Sophia.
This is a fun one. So we just did this trip to Asia, right? And I think I went to more parts of Asia than anybody else on that trip on accident. But basically, I I think going to a place where so I went to Taiwan, and I went to Tokyo first. There was a lot of pictures and there were some signs with English on them in Japan. In Taiwan, absolutely not. There's none of that. No one spoke English, knew what I wanted, or was really, because it's a big city and they had a lot going on. They really didn't have time to wait around and figure out what my problem was. I really just sort of needed, it was like, no, like cowgirl up, figure your life out. I think it gave me a different perspective of what life is like for people who come here,
Mhm.
coming from an entirely different background and not having been able to adequately prepare for whatever reason in terms of like language and cultural norms and all of that. But I think that was my first like serious fish out of water experience. Like I don't know what to do. If Siri can't save me, we're in trouble. But
Mhm.
thank God for Siri.
Yeah, I think for me, I like to research the culture before I go places because certain, for example, even like in Spanish, some words in some countries are offensive that aren't offensive in other
Mhm.
countries.
Mhm.
And just learning certain things about the culture, learning what their spending habits are, like like whether or not you tip in certain places, or where it's rude to tip actually in some places because the US is such a tipping culture. um, and just different things like that, the modes of transportation, how you're going to get around. And in some countries, I try harder than others, or more than others, to learn like some of the basic words to be able to like say please and thank you, or to um, some directional words, things like that. Some countries, I don't even really try as much on that part because I just have my Google Translate app that I'm like, here, read this, kind of a thing, because I just can't, I just don't know. It's too foreign for me to be able to try to pronounce some of the words. Um, but yeah, I think having at least a basic understanding of where you're going, and understanding so you don't end up in jail for doing something, for women, do they cover certain
Yeah.
parts of their body, things like that. So, Tam, what about you?
I was just thinking what you were saying about Google Translate, and I'm like, what did people do before that. You know, there was like books and, you know,
Mhm.
I was,
translations, but what did they do before that? People, I feel like now we're kind of spoiled a little bit
Mhm.
because, you know, even 25, 30 years ago, there was no such thing as Google Translate.
Mhm.
And so you would have to figure it out. But I do like to do a little bit of research. Um, Egypt, obviously, the Middle East was the place where I probably did the most research because I was a little bit terrified because of my personality. I'm very friendly. I have five brothers, so I have no problem talking to guys and straight, like, I'm just very social in that way, and especially with men. So I did kind of research like what would be okay, what would not be okay for me to do, and I still had fun. But there are things that I think everybody should do prior to going anywhere. And I think it's a respect thing too. The same way that we want people when they come to America to kind of know some things or at least be able to the initial hi, bye, bathroom, help, no, like
Mm.
food, like that type of things. I think that's important that, especially as Americans, that we go wherever we do go, that we try to learn a little bit about the culture and at least have some, whether it's an app or whatever, just know something before we go there because you don't want to offend. And it's just, to me, it's just a respect and that's the beauty of traveling, isn't
Mhm.
it? Like to learn, you know, other cultures. You're going there not just to have fun, but to learn too.
Yeah.
So I always like to keep a little
You did
cuss words always, I think is what people seem to learn first, no matter
you
what.
did pretty good in Thailand though. I remember the words that you learned. You were probably the best
Yeah.
out of all of us at being able to say stuff. So but no, I think that perception of Americans around the world is just that we expect everyone to accommodate us when we're traveling.
Hmm.
That
for
we don't
sure.
even try to learn languages, or we don't even try. And the countries that will really make you pay for it are like France, or you know, some of the other countries where they're like, no, 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 you're speaking my language now, type of thing. But for the most part, we get away with it because so many other countries speak English, or they speak
Mhm.
multiple languages, which with our education system, I'm very disappointed, I have to say, in the fact that we're all, that we just speak English, or people take 5 years of Spanish and can hardly say taco. I mean, it's pretty embarrassing. But
It is
Erica, what about you?
Yeah. So for me at least, I think
Oh,
the place that I researched the most was Australia, because of all the bugs and
ooh,
animals
Yes.
and just crazy insects and there's a lot of bats in Sydney.
Oh,
Yeah, like in the park, they're just like there and they're huge and they're just like sleeping in trees and like
wait.
I
Okay. Are they the fruit bats? Is that what that is? Because
yeah,
Bluey taught me about fruit bats.
yes.
Mom life.
They are, like they are there, like just hanging with
Um,
people in the park, chilling by the opera
they're just
house,
out, like
and
visible, like just a whole bunch of.
just out
Oh
there.
my gosh.
ugh,
Nah.
So it was a little crazy, as you can imagine. So, and me coming from New England, I'm not used to like, little geckos and, lizards going everywhere. But I think going back to the language barrier, like I think my first trip like internationally was Spain, France, and Italy, and Monica as well. But like, luckily, I knew a little bit of French and a little bit of Spanish to get around, and then Italy's kind of like a mixture. It's just pretty much Spanish, the Latin languages. So, like, luckily that helped me out. But then some other Americans that I was with, like I would hear like a waitress, say something in French, like about these stupid Americans, blah blah
Oh.
blah. But I understood it because my grandmother is French. So, but yeah, like it. I think you should at least try to learn like the basics. Like in Japan, I didn't have Google Translate on my phone. It was like 10 years ago. So like we met, I was in college, so we met other students that knew English. So they kind of taught us, like, please, thank you,
Yeah.
excuse me, like the very basics. And it was super helpful. And they, the people there really appreciate when you try to take the time to learn their language.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Respect
Yes.
at the end of the day.
Let's see.
Exactly.
Next question. What are the top 3 kinds of people you don't want to travel with? Start with Tam.
Uh, Broke people, dirty people, and non-adventurous people. And by adventurous, I don't mean necessarily wild stuff. I love history and culture. I want to always do something that has something to do with like history or culture or learning. So people that um, don't want to do anything but party, ironically, I don't like that either. I want to, you know,
Mix
learn
it up.
and mix it up and stuff like that. But yeah, people that um, don't got it together, basically. Yeah. So,
So,
no,
Sophia.
3 types of people. Complainers,
Mhm.
Mm,
um, people who don't know what to do when they encounter something unexpected, or like, for example, oops, something happened with the tickets. Now we have to go to 2 different countries on the way to the one we were actually going to, you just whatever, but there's I'm more of like a road trip warrior in terms of my historical travel. So, anything can happen there too.
Mhm.
Oh, and then people who get terrified in a rainstorm and force you to pull over and add hours to your journey drive me. Look, if I want to drive in the rain, sit down, go to sleep. I'll do the driving, but like don't slow down the whole process just because like you can't handle the raindrops on the windshield. Just be quiet, go to sleep, or stay home. I don't really care, but don't slow me down. It's bad because like I drove from Iowa to Florida,
mm,
and I worked a full day first, and then I went and picked up my kids and drove them to Orlando so we could go to like Disney World with my daughters. And I didn't realize, because I'm a person who like I'll just throw on a podcast or a book or whatever and just go. And so
Mhm.
I'm listening to, was it Dreams of My Father? Something. It was like one of
Barack
the
Obama.
one of
Mhm.
Barack's books.
mm.
Yes,
Yeah.
one of our forever president's books. And I'm driving all the way to Florida, and I'm like, man, it's a little bit rainy, and these roads are just empty. Like, this is great. Where'd everybody go? Like, this is amazing. And I get to Florida, and the next day, my sister's texting me like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "There were tornadoes all the way
Oh
down
my
there." And when we came driving back through it, like we could see the path of the, like we had driven through
Oh,
exactly where it was. And I remember like hearing a siren or whatever, but I mean, it's like I'm from Iowa.
God.
We hear there's a tornado, we go watch it and try and get a picture for Facebook or whatever. So like I
oh,
don't have the healthy normal level of fear
Mhm.
around these kind of events that I probably should.
Okay.
yeah.
Erica, what about you?
I would say people that are rude.
Mhm.
I can't do it. Like, don't be rude to the waitress that's trying to serve you. Um, People that are condescending and like look down on people. Like, if you go to like Jamaica or Trinidad, like, you're gonna go in a third world country, like, there's shacks and
Right.
stuff, like
Mhm.
people living on the street, but like don't look down on them because you know what I mean, you're in their country.
Mhm.
Be respectful. Just anyone in general, really, in life. And then I think the third one are I can't travel with someone that has every second of like every hour planned. Like, there needs to be room to like sit down,
Yes.
smell the flowers,
Yes.
take a breath, get some coffee. Like, there has to be room to like see, what's
Mhm.
unexpected. Like, just kind of go with the flow, because like I think when you're so like tunnel vision, you miss out on like all the other things that are nearby you that you can
Yeah.
experience. So yeah,
I
those are
would
my
say,
three.
yeah, you all have kind of said a few of mine. One is people who are disrespectful. I cannot stand when people are disrespectful of cultures, when I go different places and they just are so unaccommodating and are just so like you said, either, looking down on people or just disrespectful, like don't even try to get to know the culture, those kinds of things. It's embarrassing for me just to even be around them. Um, I think definitely people who I've been on before where I end up having to pay for everything. And that gets on me because it's more so I don't mind helping, but I don't like it when people just assume that because I'm there, it's going to be paid for. And that bothers me. Um,
Mm.
and then I would say when you're going on a girls' trip and there are people that just are not girls in the sense that are just, they're very always trying to create drama and always trying to like play different people against each other. I mean, you all have mentioned some ones that are very much so kind of what I would say already, but I would say one, yeah, that one type of like people that just like to create drama for the sake of it. And that bothers me because that can ruin a really good trip. So, all right.
And relationships.
Yeah. And relationships.
Mhm.
So we're getting close to the end here. Just want to um, ask two more questions. One, traveling while black. Share an experience of traveling while black. Tamala, go first.
I'm gonna be honest, and maybe it's because I know Diana, you've been all over the place. I've been a lot of places, but I haven't been everywhere. I've witnessed little subtle things, but I think as a female too, this is where I would definitely say our men have it a lot harder than we do. I've really had good experiences. I haven't really had too many in the United States. Out of the United States, I haven't really had too many bad experiences traveling while black in the United States. However, it's different, which is sad. Like, well, it's sad either way, but out of the United States, I've been respected. I feel that other countries like hold black women in a higher regard than our own country sometimes. Like I just have
Mm,
I've had positive things. Now I know that that's not you know, everybody's situation, but I've had positive. It's my negative has been within our lovely
Yeah.
country and mostly in the South, unfortunately, which I love. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I would have to echo that. I've been to a lot of other countries and I would say traveling while black, I've actually noticed it more in the US than I have internationally. I haven't really had negative experiences internationally. And I will say too that the other thing, not just with men, because I had made a comment about this, I think to Erica before, where I feel like sometimes with men you notice it differently, but also I think because I'm lighter skinned as well that some of my
Mhm.
experiences might be different than other women of color who are darker skinned. But I
Mhm.
do think that in the US, I've had situations of like racial profiling and different things
Mhm.
like that while traveling, but not so much internationally. Sophia, what about you?
I mean, I've had a couple myself, but the one that I'm actually going to bring up is not so much about me traveling while black, but one is okay. So one day after the Montgomery Tea Party, the infamous riverboat brawl, one day later, I was traveling out of DCA, and it was a look. There had been weather. Beyonce had been there the night before. There's people waiting for this plane with their sparkly cowboy hat still on. Okay, so that's a little bit of background. But everybody is backed up because of this rain that has backed up planes from yesterday, and then there's weather today, so there are more backups. So the first flight that I had was delayed 3 times, and um, everybody was kind of unsure. I had a connection that I had to make. And if I didn't make my connection, then I wasn't going to get to my final destination until the day following. And I was going for like a conference. So like, I'm going to miss half of the thing. Like I'm trying to figure out, am I going? Am I not going? What do I do? So I go get in line to go talk to the gate agent and try and figure out my life. Is there another flight I can get on? Can they reroute me through something else completely? What is it going to look like? And I'm standing in line and I wait behind maybe 8 people and I finally get to the front. So I've been standing here a while. Everybody's mad. Okay. We'll just set the scene. Everybody's pissed. Um, so I get to the front of the line and I'm talking to the woman at the front, and she's saying to me, well, I'll do my best. The next flight after the one that is your connection is full. The next one in the morning after that also full. So potentially you're not even going to leave Detroit until like 8 p.m. tomorrow. And it's like 2 p.m. Like, so this is a very long journey at this point. And I'm like, okay. And she said, well, I'm going to see what I can do. I'll do my absolute best. Please go stand over there and I'll talk to some people and see what I can do. I said, okay, thank you very much. While I'm standing there, this other woman comes walking up next to me. This is an older woman. She's got a little Southern accent, but we're not going to judge because look, bias is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
She comes and stands next to me and she's, and the woman's like, yeah, there's like a line, like you have to go like stand in the queue, like please go
Yeah.
to the line. And she's, no, you need to go wait in the line. And the woman tries one more time and she says, ma'am, go to the line. And she refused. She stood there right next to me the entire time, watched me walk away and everything. So I go and stand on the side. And then I turn around and I'm still like furiously texting. I'm like trying to text other people who are better at flying than me, might know what to do and all those stuff. But I turn around and this woman is standing at the counter and she is yelling at this gate agent, if I were black, you would have helped me. If I were black, you would have helped me. And the woman said, ma'am, I have not been unprofessional with you. I am doing the best that I can to help everyone. And what this woman wanted was literally a window seat. She wanted to be switched from one seat to another
Oh my
seat.
gosh. So it was
That
an
is what she wanted.
emergency.
She wanted a window seat.
Waiting for
She
yourself
wanted
to
a
be
window
emergency.
seat. What she got was security and escorted out. And
Good.
she did not get to fly out of DCA that day.
Good.
Guess who got a window seat and made it where she was going?
Woohoo. Nice.
And it's funny because when I went back up to the counter, I had to go and make some phone calls and go back to the counter and see what they had figured out and all of this stuff. And I went back up there and I said, not one day after the Montgomery Tea Party. And she said, girl. And next thing I knew, I had a place to sit and I was very excited about making it to my final destination on
Yay.
time.
Good.
So it worked in my favor this
Eric
time. But that's not the rule.
Right. Definitely the
and
exception.
Erica, what about you?
Kind of just to go back to what you were saying, like I am light skinned, so I get that comes with privileges, especially while traveling. So honestly, like, yeah, the situations that I've been in personally have been in the US, to be honest, like thinking, because I'm racially ambiguous, to people. So no matter where I am, like if I'm in Trinidad, they think I'm Venezuelan. If I was in Australia, they thought I was Indian. So like, it just depends. Even here, they call me different things. But like, I think like here I was actually in DC and someone was like, hey, like Mexican, go back to your country. Like to me, I'm like, excuse me, sir? I'm white, half white, like no, not Hispanic at all. Excuse me? And so yeah, it was just like really weird. But I have seen it with other Black people. Like in Australia, I saw a lot of racism, especially like Aborigines.
Mm-hmm.
They thought I was Aborigine, but like lighter, so I guess they accepted me. I don't know, but yeah, it's rampant no matter where you are. Just like the color of your skin will make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're in Asia and you're darker skin Asian than a lighter skin, fairer skin Asian. So I think it's everywhere. The one place that got me was Argentina and I think it was more of me not being ready. They're very European, so they're very Caucasian. And so, yeah, I wasn't treated the same as my white counterparts that were on the trip with me. But then, like, if you go out, there's a lot of Brazilian men, and then it's like, get away from me. There's too many. So it's kind of weird. But I guess like looking at the history, it makes sense. But anyhow, yeah, I think it's
So,
everywhere.
last question, playlists. If you are traveling, what music goes on your playlist? Tamla.
I'm a big '90s music person, so I can find a '90s song in any genre. Um, Obviously, I like Spanish music too, so it it's R&B is probably going to be number one, no matter what. Some type of R&B and hip hop, depending on where I'm going, depending on. You notice a lot of times when you're out of the country, when you get into like whatever the equivalent of a tuk tuk is everywhere else, because they have them, they just call it something different. They always try to put on like hip hop or something like that. Like, they always try to put on, and now it's popular, so everybody likes that. But like I think they do it more age, like they see you're younger, they try to put this on. But definitely R&B. I have my playlist, but my travel playlist, like while I'm traveling, is actually a guy named Bradley, and he's a pianist, and I like to listen to classical music while I'm traveling. I don't know, it's just a weird thing on the plane. Everything it's like the opposite of when I'm trying to go out to a club. It like gets me ready and it just relaxes me, and so
Yeah.
it's a little. I'm a music bipolar though, so
I So I make playlists differently by the countries that I'm going to sometimes. If I'm going to Jamaica, you'll hear a lot of reggae and a lot of other, music, dance hall kind of music. If I'm, going to Dominican Republic, then I'm playing a lot of bachata and different things like that. Um, but I also have like my kind of go-to playlist when I travel. I get very like cerebral and in my head. So I make these like pensive playlists where if I'm going on like a tour on a bus, I can listen to this music that could be anything from classical to just depressing songs or things that make me like really think or get all in my feelings because I tend to like process my feelings while I travel. So my playlists
Mm.
reflect that. And then, of course, you've got to have your different playlists for when you're going out, that kind of thing. So I big, big into playlists. Erica, what about you?
So yeah, I think we spoke about this last night. I have a playlist for the country that I'm going to. So like when I went to Norway and Sweden, I had separate playlists for both. Especially like creating content, like is something that I keep in the back of my
Mm-hmm.
mind. And I also like to gather like I always have Shazam on my
Mm-hmm.
phone, like when I'm in different countries or even like in the US, just so I can kind of pick up like different songs that I find interesting. But kind of like Tamla, I listen to Enya
Mm-hmm.
to like relax me.
I love it. Yeah.
I get anxious, so like when I'm on a flight or whatever, sometimes like it just helps calm my nerves, so I feel like less nauseous and stuff. Or if I'm on a boat or
Mm-hmm.
something, um, yeah, it kind of calms me down.
And Sophia.
So people who know me professionally probably wouldn't guess that my musical choices are as they are, but something about deplaning to me just screams 99 problems. Like if I'm getting out of an airplane, it is 100 times out of 100 going to be Hove. Absolutely. Um, if I'm walking through an airport, it's probably trap music.
Mhm.
It's like there's no rhyme or reason to this. That's just traveling doesn't make me feel serene or there's nothing about literally the process of transit that is a relaxing moment for me. I hate flying. I hate turbulence. I hate taxiing. I hate takeoff. I hate landing. Like I just, by the end of it, am so ready to be done. No, no, it's hip
I
hop
can just imagine you
always.
walking through this, like nobody knows what's going on, but you're just in there looking at
Yeah.
everybody like, I got 99
Well,
problems with
literally. Well, and it's funny because so I was sitting in the airport and there a little bird was like, how they get inside sometimes, and it like flew over to me and like landed like right in front of my chair. It came up, sat right next to me. I was like, oh my god, I'm a Disney princess. So I posted on my Instagram, oh my god, I'm a Disney princess. And then I posted Snow White with like the birds
Yeah.
flying to her, but I put Ice Spice as the
Yeah.
Oh
music.
my God.
I remember.
Like, this is who
Yes.
I am. I'm sorry.
Love it.
Well, thanks
Love it.
everyone for joining us today. We hope you got to get to know us a little bit better, and also learn some things about travel as well. We hope to have more of these conversations in the future. Thank you, Tamala, Erica, and Sophia. And to everyone else, have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everybody.